podcast. Guys, how we all doing? Obviously, season now to a close and transfers, guys, now kicking off, and I must say, I'm looking forward to this, because I think you're going to see a lot of teams getting business done. And I think from some of the news that's been coming out lately, I think it's about to take off, Manchester United obviously signing Matthias Cunha for 62.5 mil. Obviously, that'll be over installments, so you'd expect that to be slightly higher, with Man United paying obviously the money over, as I said, over installments. I think, if I'm honest, I think the Cunha signing, I did like Eze, but I think Cunha was always the likely one. Obviously, he gave his word to Man United that he wanted to join, and I think a disappointing season. I think we have to say right now that it's a positive move by the club, and I think the most important thing for Cunha, Cunha coming in, does he get that number 10 shirt? Because obviously a certain Marcus Rashford, is the current number 10. Obviously he's on loan at Aston Villa. Obviously rumoured to be going. Big up Reluctant Killer. But does Cunha get the number 10 shirt? That's what I want to know, because that'll be a huge statement if he does. If we look at the previous number 10s at the club, the likes of Van Nistelrooy, Rooney, David Beckham obviously wore 10 as well at United, and as I said, I think if Cunha does get the 10, which I think is expected, big up Daniela, I think that's going to be a huge sign of faith in someone like Cunha, and as I said, I think it's a great signing. I did want Eze as the preference, but obviously we can't be complaining at Cunha. I think Cunha's 25, 26, I think he might be. So, that's a great age for him to be coming to a club that's in turmoil and showing what he's got to offer, and whether it's going to be, left 10, or whether it's going to be as a number 10, we'll have to wait and see. Big up to Barbara Joseph. Yeah, big up for coming on. So yeah, as I said, I think this Cunha signing, is massive, and for me, it doesn't stop there. I think United need to be bringing in at least another 4 players at minimum, to go with Cunha, and obviously a lot of players to be moved on. And again, I think likes of Ruben Amorim. I'm not going to touch on Amorim because it's looking likely he's going to stay, which again is a disgrace for me, for the club. They should have acted on the dreadful season that happened, but I think reports coming out that the board are going to back him, and there's no point for me getting pissed off, getting frustrated at this, because it is what it is. But we'll have to wait and see what players go and what players come in, and that's it really. So yeah, Matthias Cunha, guys, obviously, as you know, signing for Manchester United, the first player through the door. And to be honest with you, I think you're going to see, as I said, the transfers kicking off very soon now, because, I think it's a short turnaround. It's a short turnaround to the Premier League season next season. So, as I said, you're going to see some transfers being made. And as I said, man, these transfers will be kicking off for me. Other news, Bayern Munich looking at Eberechi Eze, and again, guys, Eze is someone that is going to be attracting interest from all over. I think in the Premier League, teams like Man City, Tottenham, even the Chelsea, I think any team that is in the top 6, or that's in Champions League, should be looking at Eze for me. And I think the season he just had for Palace, I think in terms of numbers, it's probably been his most productive season. Obviously winning the trophy, the FA Cup as well for Crystal Palace as well. And I think that the fact that there's noise about Palace, not Palace, but that Bayern Munich want Eze. Imagine a front three of Eze on the left, Elise on the right, Harry Kane as a striker, and Jamal Musiala in the 10. Imagine that front four there. That front four is dangerous, you know. And whether Bayern Munich can get Eze out, because for sure, Crystal Palace are going to be asking for a lot of money. You know, you'd expect Crystal Palace to be asking for, I'd say, at least 70 million, you know, especially as they've obviously just won the FA Cup. So as I said before, that would add a few millions onto the deal. And as I said, I think, you know, he's someone for me that does need to be moved, that does need to move on for his career. I think he's been at Palace, I think three seasons he's been there for now? I think he might have been there. And I think someone like him does need to be playing Champions League football. Obviously, they're going to be playing in the Europa League, you know, and that's a route to try and get into the Champions League. But for me, I think he's someone that needs to be playing for one of the top teams, not just in England, but in the world, such as his ability, you know. And again, the fact that Bayern Munich want Eze, you know, I can see that, because you've got the likes of Leroy Sané, Kingsley Coman that are probably going to be moved on, you know, Serge Gnabry as well. And then if you're looking at that, you've only got really Michael Elise, who's part of the future. Musiala can play out on the left, but he's probably more going to play in the 10. And Eze for me is another signing that, you know, they could do with, and is key as well. Just like they want Kaoru Matoma as well from Brighton, you know. And again, Matoma was subject of interest from Saudi as well. I think a huge bid of, I think it was about 90 million that was turned down. And Bayern Munich are rumored to want Matoma as well. And again, I think Matoma going to Germany, playing for Bayern Munich, again, that will be a great move for him and a great move for the club, you know, because I think if I look at Bayern's team now, you know, I think Bayern needs some players with real pace, you know, because I think, as I said, Sane, Gnabry, and Kingsley Coman, you would think at least two of them will be moved on. And for me, they need to get some pace into their team, because I think their front line, if you look at Elise and Kane, you know, they're not two players that are blessed with pace. Musiala's got a good change of pace, you know, but they're probably missing someone that can just change the game for them in terms of just being a direct runner. But, you know, they've been linked to Eze and to Matoma. You know, if I'm Bayern Munich, you know, to pair up Elise and Eze together again, you know, would be ideal and would be great for them. And as I said, how much it's going to cost? I think Eze, in actual fact, will cost less than Matoma, because if Brighton are turning down 90 million bid from Saudi, how much will they let him go to another club, you know? So that's going to be interesting to see. But I think two players that Bayern Munich could do with, you know, and Vincent Kompany getting his hands on the first Bundesliga title, he's going to want to strengthen. So, yeah, as I said, I think that would be a great signing for Bayern Munich, for sure, both players. And guys, I did mention this yesterday, you know, and it's looking like, you know, Manchester City are going to pursue this, you know. And I think personally, if they pursue this player, I think it changes their team massively, because he's an attacking threat, you know. Obviously, probably more adept to playing as a, you know, as a wing back, I'd say, you know, but obviously as an attacking left back would be good anyway. And that is Manchester City after Ryan Aït-Nouri of Wolves. And to be honest with you, I can see why they want Aït-Nouri, because it's probably going to allow Gvardiol to play as a centre-back, left-sided centre-back. You know, because if you look at Man City's defenders, again, the likes of John Stones, you would expect John Stones to, you know, well, whether he gets moved on, I'm not too sure. But whether he's going to figure much, I'm not too sure either. But I think the first choice pairing, you're probably looking at the likes of Gvardiol, Ruben Diaz, and Akanji. Like, I think those three will be the three that Pep will be depending on to be the centre-backs. You know, obviously they can play a three at the back. And if they play a three at the back, you know, Gvardiol can play left-side centre-back. Then you've got the likes of Diaz in the middle and Akanji right centre back. And then obviously you've got Nathan Ake as well, obviously back from injury that can fill in as a left side centre back. And obviously Stones, you know, if he's back, then he can play right side or the middle of the three. And then you've got the wing backs. If they get Ait Nouri in as a wing back, you know, they could play Ait Nouri and Matthias Nunez as a two right wing backs. Or you've got Rico Lewis there. And I think it's mad with Matthias Nunez because Matthias Nunez is actually a central midfield player. But I think because of the way that Pep likes to play midfielders at fullback so they can invert. And I think the way that Matthias Nunez is athleticism as well, I think that works well for Man City, you know. And if he plays as a right wing back, if they go to a three at the back, you know, that would give them more options in attack as well because you could play Omar Marmoush, Erling Haaland, and let's say a Savinho as part of a front three. And then you'd have Rodri, and if they get Reinders in that midfield, you know, yeah, they've got options. Put it that way, they've got plenty of options. But I think the Ait Nouri deal is key for me because, as I say, if they go to a three at the back, he can play as the wing back, or if they go to a four, he can play as a left back. You know, and again, he's someone, you know, technically sound, you know, and he would offer them another dimension. And I think what's important for Man City as well, because it's looking like, as I said, Jack Grealish is going to go. Florian Wirtz, which we'll get onto in a bit, looks like he's not coming there. So I think in terms of width, you know, they might see it as them getting their width from their fullbacks, which is why they're going in for an Ait Nouri because, you know, obviously they've only got Jeremy Doku really. That is the only actual winger in their team from the left. So if they can get an Ait Nouri and if they play a three at the back, you know, that will allow the front three, if you're playing two out wide, but they're more or less number 10s, you know, or inside forwards, you'd say. So that would give them more options, and that someone like an Omar Marmoush would actually fit that system properly if they play a 4-3-3 because he can play as a left winger in a 4, or can play as a 10 in a 4, or if it's a 3 at the back, he can play left side of the attack or through the middle if they wanted to rest Erling Haaland. So yeah, they've got options, but the Ait Nouri, that is a great sign. Great sign that they're looking at someone like Ait Nouri. The only problem I think might be is that will Wolves let Ait Nouri and Matthias Cunha leave in the same window? You know, they're getting probably just above 62 million for Cunha, but obviously it's over installments from Man United. And Ait Nouri, you'd probably expect them to sell Ait Nouri because I don't think Ait Nouri's got a release clause either. But I reckon City will probably be looking, if they felt their interest in Ait Nouri, you're probably looking at about, I would say, 40 million, between 40 and 50 million, I would say, to get Ait Nouri out of Wolves. You know, I can't see Wolves asking for 60, 70 million. You know, I can't see that. But they might think, well, we've just got rid of Cunha, so they might see that as possible. You know, so we'll have to wait and see. But I think that's a good sign for Man City fans that they're looking at Ait Nouri because he's someone that I want at Man United. And if City get him, you know, as I said, that's a great signing, and it's another dimension that they can have in their team. You know. So yeah, and again, I don't think there's been other interests for Ait Nouri, you know, but I'm surprised there isn't really because I think someone of his skill set as a left back or as a left wing back should be highly sought after. But whether Wolves have said, you know, to other clubs they want ridiculous money, I don't know. But Man City obviously definitely in for Ait Nouri, you know. Tottenham and Newcastle, guys, looking at Mbeumo, you know, and again, I did say about Brian Mbeumo, I did say, you know, he's someone for me that has to be on the move, you know, and it's no slight on Brentford, but I think someone like Mbeumo has done his service for Brentford, obviously in the Championship, and now in the Premier League as well. And again, Thomas Frank, top manager, you know, and the way that he's got Mbeumo and Visser playing together. And guys, who would have thought this as well? The fact that Ivan Toney has gone, and you'd probably say that Brentford are probably better off with the combination of Mbeumo and Visser. You know, Ivan Toney was a top player for them and their best player. And but the combination with Embuemo and Vissa together has made it seem as if the Ivan Toney sell, hasn't really affected them not one bit. Because they've recorded their highest ever league finish as well. And as I said, I think with both players, they'll be sought after by many clubs. Guys, there's 12 of you in there at the moment. Let's try and hit the like button. As I said, only one press of the button. We've only got 3 likes in here at the moment. So if you do enjoy the content, just smash that like button. And again, if it's your first time on it, make sure you subscribe to my channel at GavGoesIn and check out my other content. So yeah, Newcastle and Tottenham looking at Embuemo. I think he's ideal for Newcastle, as I've said before. Obviously reluctant killer. Obviously Newcastle fan will know that I've said Embuemo needs to go to Newcastle, and I think whether Newcastle, put in a bid for their interest in him, I'm not too sure, but I think he's someone that definitely will be on the move. Obviously he's been links to Man United as well. Can I see Man United getting Embuemo? I'm not too sure because, again, I think there's been links, but nothing concrete in terms of bids being put in, And how much is Embuemo going to cost? Well, I think he's got 20 league goals this season, 20 Premier League goals. I would think that Brentford will be looking at something close to 60 million for him, Again, he hasn't got a release clause, so I think Brentford, to replace one of their best players, you're probably looking at close to 60 million. And I think that will probably be 60 million up front, I would say. Big up to Vaishnav and big up to Elf. Guys, I'll get back onto your questions in a minute. So yeah, as I said, Embuemo for me will cost about 60 million, I believe, and Tottenham need for me an upgrade in that right hand side. I know Brennan Johnson has chipped in with a few goals, but I think what the selling point is for someone like Embuemo is the fact that he's left footed, and he's a goal threat, so inverted left footers. I think if I'm looking around the league in terms of other than an Amad Diallo, I'd say you're looking at Embuemo, you're looking at what's his name, Mohamed Kudus, So they're the 2 outstanding left-footed attackers playing from the right, and obviously I've mentioned Ahmad as well. So I think Tottenham definitely need to look at Brian Embuemo, but I think it's ideal to step in at Newcastle because, as I said before, if Newcastle get Embuemo to partner him with an Isak, imagine if they do a double deal, as I said, with Embuemo and Vissa. How good that would be for Newcastle. But yeah, Newcastle and Tottenham both want Embuemo as well as Man United. And again, not too sure where he's going to end up, but I think definitely in the summer he's going to be he's gonna be signed by someone, I would say. So big up to Elf. Elf says, how much is Garnacho going to cost? So for me, Man United missed the trick really last season with in January, with Garnacho, because they were asking for what, 60 million, I think, or 70 or something like that. And I think there was 50 million bids that were being looked at. And I would say for me, now you're probably looking at probably close to, I'll say if United get about 40 million, they would have done well, So yeah, I think 40 million is probably what they're looking at, but for sure he's going to be gone, Big up to Vaishnav says, where you from? So I'm from the UK. Big up to Shimshon says, do you play professionally? I don't play professionally, but I used to play, obviously, up until the age of 18. I was at Chelsea and Tottenham, in their academy. And so, yeah, I've got vast experience in playing, coaching, and obviously watching football from years. So, yeah. But, yeah, I played for professional academies, as I say, Chelsea and Tottenham. Big up to Saeed Ahmed Ali Shah says, Wirtz is confirmed or not. So Florian Wirtz, as we know, guys, is looking like he's going to Liverpool. I think there was rumours today that he's that they're putting a bid of 100 million. I don't know if it's plus add-ons, and again, I'm actually shocked. I'm actually shocked because I didn't see Liverpool going for Wirtz. And it's looking like Wirtz is told by Leverkusen he only wants Liverpool. And I think you'd have to think that because Jeremy Frimpong is going to Liverpool, I'm thinking, is that a factor? Because I know him and Frimpong are good friends at Bayer Leverkusen. And again, if you're going to a different country, it's going to help if you've got someone that you already know at your current club. So that I'm not sure whether that's the driving factor, but for me, I'm actually shocked because I thought Man City would have pulled out all the stops to sign him. But if he's told City that he only wants Liverpool, or he's told his agent or whoever, then you can understand why there's been no other bids coming in, and it's looking like he's going to Liverpool, which, for me, one of my favourite players in world football today, Florian Wirtz, and it's going to be a problem for the league, and I've just seen Sean Twed, big up Sean Twed, I've just seen his comment, which I'll get back onto in a minute, but as I said, Wirtz going to Liverpool, man, is it's a problem. Put it that way, it's a problem because you look at what they've got already in their team. I look at their two centre backs in Virgil van Dijk and Ibrahima Konate. You're looking at two of the best centre backs in the league in world football. You would say right now. They've got in Frimpong, who's gonna aid the loss of Alexander Arnold in a different way. They've got Gravenberch, just one young player this season. They've got McAllister, who's arguably one of the best players in the league as well. Salah, we already know about Salah, just equaled the record for the most goals and assists in the season. And to add Florian Wirtz to that, and you'd think they'll add a few more, looking at Kirkes as well. Yeah, it's gonna be a mad season for Liverpool, man, and they're gonna be the team to stop for me unless the likes of Man City or Chelsea just make some significant signings for sure. Guys, big up. Guys, if you're just coming in there just now, again, make sure you smash that like button. Helps the channel to grow. And make sure as well, guys, you subscribe to my channel. So Syed says, and Cunha is coming. Yep, Cunha's been signed, guys. If you haven't seen it already, United have signed Cunha. Obviously, he had a release clause of 62.5 mil, but United are paying that in installments, and you'd have to believe that they're paying more money, which probably might add up to about 65 million. But if you're paying that in installments, it's a great deal for the club, really. If I'm Wolves, I would have pushed for at least a 60 million. I know you risk having an unhappy player, but it would have been 60 million guaranteed, and I think someone would have actually probably triggered that release clause, you would say. But obviously in installments, it's a great deal for United in the end, Zero Requiem says, heard Liverpool after Gyökeres. Is there truth or just smoke? Yeah, I mean, someone like Gyökeres, they would be interested in, because if you look at, as I say, strikers in world football, the ones that are talked about right now are the likes of Gyökeres, the likes of Victor Osimhen, if we're looking closer to home in England, Liam Delap's, Matetas, Again, the pool of strikers, guys, ain't great, Hugo Ekitike is another one as well. So someone like Gyökeres with his goal scoring that he's been doing in Portugal, again, there is going to be interest in him. Do I see Liverpool going for Gyökeres? I'm not too sure, because, I think it depends really what Slot wants to do. Because if Slot wants to play, because there's obviously rumours about Slot wanting to play with a false nine, which people are looking at Florian Wirtz, which I don't see him playing as a false nine in a Slot system. But Liverpool already got Darwin Nunez, and Gyökeres is probably a bit similar to Nunez, and whether Slot wants to have a similar profile in his squad again, I'm not too sure. But I think someone like Gyökeres will be linked with many clubs because of his goal scoring, and obviously he's been linked to United, he's been linked to Liverpool, Chelsea, even abroad as well. I'm not sure where he ends up. If I'm honest, I don't want him at United, but I think for sure he's going to be someone that's going to be looked at for sure. And wherever he goes, I think obviously Arsenal as well. I think Arsenal's more likely for Gyökeres, if I'm honest, because Arsenal need a player like that. Whether Arteta wants to sign someone like a Gyökeres remains to be seen. But I think definitely he is someone that Arsenal will definitely have their eyes on, you know. And again, Champions League football is what he's going to be looking for. And we have to wait and see what happens with that one. But big up, Zero Requiem. So Sean Twed says Frimpong, Wirtz, Kirkes and Isak potentially. Liverpool absolutely balling. Yeah, listen. Frimpong, Wirtz and Kirkes looks definitely likely, you know. And again, those three players there to put into their squad to what they've already got is actually frightening, you know, because you look at Trent going, Frimpong's the replacement there. And again, he would offer a different threat. Again, Florian Wirtz, we've already touched on, is one of the best players in the world. And the creativity and the goal threat he's going to add to them as well. I've got fingers crossed, guys, that Wirtz just changes his mind and doesn't go Liverpool. You know, I mean, I'd much prefer him at Man City, if I'm honest, or even at Barcelona. But it's looking like it's Liverpool. And obviously, Kirkes they've been linked to, and Kirkes will be, you know, the replacement for Andy Robertson. And Isak is not going to happen for me because Newcastle, obviously Champions League now as well. So that means they're definitely not going to sell Isak. And he would cost about 150 as well, guys. So if you're going to sell to a Premier League rival, you know, and you're going to sell arguably one of your best players, you know, your top goal scorer, there's no way they're gonna sell him to a rival for nothing less than top money, you know. And you're looking at breaking the British transfer fee for someone like Isak. So that's not going to happen unless Isak says he wants to go and he hands in a transfer request. You know, then I think we can talk. But I think other than that, yeah, I don't see him going anywhere personally. So so yeah. So yeah, I don't see him going anywhere. But as I said, I think Kirkes might be the next one after Florian Wirtz for me. And as I said, this is what I like about the likes of Liverpool, even Real Madrid. You know, these teams just get the players in. You know, the season's barely finished, and you know, Frimpong and looking like Florian Wirtz have already signed. You know, and this is what I'm trying to say. These clubs just don't mess around, and there's no surprise why these teams are the top teams in the country or around the world, because they just get business done, you know. And as I said, those three, Kirkes, Wirtz and Frimpong, is frightening. Isak is not going to happen, but it just shows the ambition that Liverpool are looking at an Isak, you know. So Saeed Ahmad Ali says Isak shouldn't leave because Newcastle is in the Champions League. Yeah, Isak for me is not going anywhere. As I said before, the only place Isak is going is probably abroad, because Newcastle are not going to sell him to any Premier League rival, especially that they're in the Champions League now as well. And they're not going to sell him for anything less than, as I said, 150, you know. And if he goes abroad, I think they'll sell him for slightly less. But in this country, yeah, nothing less than 150, I think, you know. So Elf says, no, I think Musiala is better than Wirtz. Do you know what? That's a great debate, this one, because again, I done a poll. I done a poll, and if you can check it out as well, guys. Who holds the keys to the German national team? Florian Wirtz and Jamal Musiala, or Jamal Musiala. And I think it was just slightly Musiala. For me, I think Florian Wirtz is and the thing is, I do like Musiala, but for me, Florian Wirtz is the better player for me in terms of, I think Florian Wirtz has more, just a bit more to his game, you know, in terms of, you know, he's more of a goal threat than Musiala for me. You know, he's more creative than Musiala for me as well. I think Musiala's strengths are running with the ball, you know, his change of pace, his change of direction. But I think in terms of what Wirtz offers, you know, I think Wirtz is a pure creator. And as I said, yeah, I think he just edges it for me. But what I would say is that Germany have got, you know, two of the best young players in the game right now. And they'll be building their team around those two for sure. So yeah, some people might prefer Wirtz, some people might prefer Musiala. You know, two great players, but for me, just Florian Wirtz for me. Big up to Xedra, big up, bro. Do you know what? I didn't. You know, you just brought something to my mind. So the problem is City is now going to get Baena. Do you know what? I didn't think that. You know, because if Florian Wirtz goes to Liverpool, Alex Baena, you know, as the alternative is gonna be a great signing for them. And again, I've not heard no links to Baena from Man City, but I think Baena is definitely going to leave Villarreal for me. I think, you know, whether he stays in Spain or not, you know, you're looking at the big two, Barca or Real Madrid. I think Barcelona's probably more likely for Baena because Real Madrid are quite stacked in the midfield, attacking midfield. But if City go for Baena because they've lost out on Wirtz, I mean, what a signing that is, you know. And again, he's going to cost less than Wirtz, and he's got a release clause. I'm not sure how much his release clause is. If anyone knows Alex Baena's release clause, guys, put that in the chat because that could be a great alternative as well. And again, he's someone that Man United should be looking at. But because Cunha's been signed, you know, I don't really expect it. So we'll have to wait and see. Guys, there's 28 of you in there at the moment. Okay, only 9 likes. Come on, let's get the likes up. Again, if you enjoy the content, smash that like button. And guys, give me your questions. What do you think about the transfer window now? Do you think it's going to heat up? So yeah, big up yourselves each and every time for coming on. Sean Twed says Nunez plus cash offer potentially. Yeah, I think it's clear that, you know, Arne Slot doesn't rate Darwin Nunez. And I think definitely Darwin Nunez does go in the summer. You know, there was obviously offers from Saudi, and Saudi, I think, were offering close to what, 60 million or something like that for Darwin Nunez. And I think if they get rid of Nunez, they're definitely gonna replace him. And yeah, I think Arne Slot has clearly said that has clearly made it obvious that he doesn't rate Darwin Nunez, and they have to move him on. So yeah. So you're saying Nunez plus cash for Florian Wirtz? Is that you're saying, Sean? I didn't think of that. I'm not heard no links from Bayer Leverkusen for Darwin Nunez. And guys, of course, Eric Ten Hag's just gone to Bayer Leverkusen. You know, so there was rumours that Ten Hag wanted Darwin Nunez at Man United. So, you know, he could revisit that. Who knows? And again, that would be good business because if Wirtz wants to go Liverpool, you know, and then let's say Ten Hag wants to get Darwin Nunez, and again, what's going to happen to Victor Boniface because he's still there, you know. Patrick Schick is there as well. So yeah, if Ten Hag did want Nunez, you know, that could be a possibility, swapping Nunez for Wirtz, you know, probably playing slightly less as well. We'll have to wait and see on that one. So Elf says City needed Wirtz more. I agree. You know, De Bruyne's gone now. And as I said, Wirtz is the ideal player to step into Man City for me. But getting Alex Baena, you know, that's not a bad alternative. So, yeah, as I said, I think we'll have to wait and see on that one. So Zero Requiem reckons that Nunez is going to go to Atletico Madrid. Do you know what? That's not a bad shout because he's a typical Atletico Madrid player, just like Enzo Fernandez at Chelsea is as well. The only thing I would say is that obviously you've got Julian Alvarez there. Griezmann obviously plays as like as in the 10 as well behind Alvarez. So if they get Darwin Nunez and they partner Darwin Nunez with Alvarez, you know, 2 South Americans, you know, that could work. But it just means they might have to change their formation because obviously where's Griezmann going to play? You know, so yeah, to be fair, I wasn't really thinking about that one, Nunez to Atletico. But thinking about it now, he would suit Atletico Madrid. You know, Diego Simeone, the way he likes to play, you know, he's passion as well for the game. And Darwin Nunez fits that. So, yeah, that could be a good signing for Atletico Madrid. But, yeah, I think their formation will have to change, though, because, as I say, they play Griezmann playing just off of Julian Alvarez. And, obviously, if you're going to start Nunez, you're probably going to play 2 up top. And then, unless Griezmann plays in the 10, and they change their formation, we'll have to wait and see. But, yeah, that would be a good signing. So Sean Twed says, no, I'd offer Newcastle. Oh, okay. So Sean is saying that he'd offer Newcastle Darwin Nunez and cash for Isak. You know what? I hear that, but there's no way Newcastle accept that because Newcastle are looking at Isak as not only in Newcastle's eyes, they've got the best striker in the league, you know, and they'll probably say they've got definitely one of the best strikers in the world. So for me, they're not going to swap. They're not going to do a swap deal with Darwin Nunez for Isak, you know, because the only way they would sell Isak is if any other club in the Premier League comes up with one. If any other club in the league comes up with 150 for Isak, you know, and then Isak says to them he wants to go, then they'll probably sell him. But any swap deals with other players in the league, you know, they're not going to do that. You know, I think if you're looking at striker for striker, you know, you're probably looking at only Erling Haaland as the striker that they wouldn't mind swapping. And even that, they might even say no. So, yeah, I think Darwin Nunez for Isak's not going to happen. And as I said, I think Isak only leaves the country for slightly less money if he was to leave Newcastle, you know. Saeed says Germany and Spain are surely going to do big in the next World Cup. Yeah, listen, I think you can't help but not think Spain will do well. You know, some of the players they've got and coming through as well. You know, you look at obviously Lamine Yamal, Pedri, Baena, Rodri. You know, Mikel Marino, not Mikel Marino, Mikel Marino. You know, Fabian Ruiz. Who else they got? You know, they got Dean Howson as well, just gone to Real Madrid. You know, Cucurella, Alejandro Balde. You know, they've got quality littered all over their squad. There's probably players that I'm forgetting as well. Obviously got Zubimendi as well. You know, I think the only, you know, Ferran Torres, Ansu Fati, if he can rediscover his form. You know, Gavi as well, Barcelona. And they've got youngsters coming through as well. So I think the only thing that they might look at, I know Morata scores goals. They've got Mikel Arafabal as well. But they need to get a proper striker for me. That's one of the best strikers in the world, you know, and then I think that team will be virtually unstoppable, you know. So so yeah, Spain have got some real quality. Obviously Nico Williams as well, you know, and they've got some real quality in that squad there. And obviously Germany, as I said, you know, Florian Wirtz, Jamal Musiala, the two star boys of German football, you know, and then you've got the likes of the experience of Joshua Kimmich, you know, obviously Rudiger, you know, absolute warrior, you know, Schlotterbeck, Jonathan Tah, you know, they've got some real quality, you know, what's his name at Borussia Dortmund as well, Karim Adeyemi. You know, I think in terms of strikers, you know, I mean, there was a lot of hopes for, if anyone remembers, Yusufa Moukoko, who was formerly of Borussia Dortmund. You know, there was high hopes for him, and he seemed to have just dropped off now. You know, he was the striker that they were all looking at as to be the next big striker for Germany. But, yeah, for sure, man, I think both teams will be looking at having a strong World Cup, you know. And, again, there might be some other players that we're not even talking about that that might actually come through as well. So, okay, so Bayern has got a 60 million euro release clause. Right, so that means for me he's going, because if City are strongly looking at a number 10 to replace, or an attacking midfielder to replace Kevin De Bruyne, and Wirtz was the obvious one, you know, then Bayern for 60 million, that's a no-brainer. They need to activate that release clause, you know, but not just Man City. I think loads of teams should be all over this, because this guy is a real player, man. He's a real talent, and as I said, we'll have to wait and see what happens there. So Shumel 7 Yellow says Alex Baena needs to leave La Liga. I think the only way he leaves La Liga is if, as I said, if Barca, Real Madrid, or Atletico go in for him, then I think for sure he's going to stay in that league. But for me, yeah, if he's got a 60 million release clause, and that's 60 million euros, so you're probably looking at, what, 55, I think, something like that. That's a no-brainer for me, man. Because some of the prices that are being touted around football now, to get a player of that quality, you know, needs to be done, really, you know. So Shamel says, I think we should sign Jonathan David. I don't want Jonathan David at Man United. The second one you said, Victor Boniface. You know what? I wouldn't mind Boniface at United, to be fair. I I think Boniface has the kind of personality, that I want to see at United in terms of, strong-willed character. Someone that, is just a serious marksman as well. So I would take Boniface over Jonathan David. I know Jonathan David is on a free transfer, but for me, I think Boniface. For me, I'd much rather have Boniface, if I'm honest. Um, Exedra says nothing concrete for Bayern, I'd say. So Sai says, I think Grimaldo should also leave as all his teammates are also gone. Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, it's gonna be funny to see what Leverkusen do because they've lost their manager, Xabi Alonso. They're losing their best player, Florian Wirtz. They're losing one of their most attacking well, not creative, but one of their most influential attacking outlets in Jeremy Frimpong. And you think who they got left there? You've got the likes of as Syed has said, Grimaldo, Victor Boniface. The likes of Xhaka won't go. Will Palacios as well in midfield. I think he'll stay. I think another defender that people need to be looking at is Edmund Tapsoba as well. I think Tapsoba's someone that was linked to a few English clubs before, but I think he's someone that needs to be looked at as well because I think he's quite a solid defender and will fit a back three as well. So yeah, they've got players by Leverkusen, that their team's been split up now, you would say, and whether Grimaldo goes or not, I'm not too sure, but we'll have to wait and see. So Zero Requiem says Liverpool wanted Alvarez for Nunez plus cash. Griezmann is not going to stay much longer. He's unhappy on the bench. The star striker for Atletico now is Sorloth. So yeah, big up Zero Requiem. So yes, I know Sorloth's been playing, but I think unless this has been changed quite recently, but it was Griezmann playing just off of Alvarez. And again, Griezmann is getting on a bit, you would say. So if they've got Sorloth and Alvarez as their front two, getting in Darwin Nunez, I don't really see as much now. And again, Atletico have just got Julian Alvarez, and I don't see them swapping Alvarez for Nunez. So I don't see that happening. I mean, if Atletico wanted to do that deal, and Liverpool be laughing because Julian Alvarez is a very good player, and to have him at Liverpool, to be fair, and the way I look at Julian Alvarez is that Julian Alvarez could do quite similar, not a direct replacement, but he could do a similar thing to what Roberto Firmino done for Liverpool. Someone that can drop into midfield, but be a goal threat. And I think he's probably ideal for the Liverpool system, really, you would say, in terms of, someone that can do what Bobby Firmino does, but is more of a goal threat than what Bobby Firmino was. So again, I can see that because I can see why Liverpool would want Alvarez, but I think Atletico have just got him, and the season he's had as well for them, I don't see them swapping him for Nunez. But yeah, no, I agree with the Griezmann one. Griezmann isn't going to go on for too much longer. What a player he's been. And but I think, yeah, the Nunez one, I'm not too sure. And definitely I don't see Atletico swapping him for Alvarez, Said says, yes, Zubimendi, Kabasi, Hyson, Yamal, Pedri, everyone is young and world class. Yeah, listen, I 100% agree. Paul Kabasi as well, yeah, forgot about him. And there's other players, guys, as well. As I said, don't count out the likes of Ansu Fati, who I still think has a career, and I still think he's a good player. Ansu Fati, Fabian Ruiz, Nico Williams. I'm not a massive fan of Nico Williams, but he's another player. They've got some real talent there, man, and they're gonna take some stopping for sure. But yeah. So Zero Requiem says Zubimendi was so bad against Atletico, and he's 26, not young, and certainly not world class. Yeah, I mean, I watched Zubimendi when obviously Real Sociedad played Man United in Europa, and obviously Zubimendi missed the first leg, and the second leg at Old Trafford, yeah, he was poor, and again, he's obviously looks like he's going to Arsenal, and I think he's a good player. I do. I'm not going to say he's shit. But would I say he's world class? He's not world class for me. But I think in terms of the kind of play, the kind of profile that he is, you know, he's ideal for what Spain want to do. But again, he's more or less that understudy, you would say, to Rodri, you know. And again, with Rodri coming back, you know, massive miss for Man City. You know, obviously Rodri's going to be, obviously he's their captain as well. You know, their first choice. So yeah, Zubimendi will be the backup for him. But again, yeah, they've got some, as I say, some real quality in that squad as a whole. You know, I'm not going to mention Mikel Merino. Mikel Merino for me doesn't start for Spain in their best team. Nowhere near it, because Spain's best midfield is which to be honest with you is pretty obvious, is Rodri, Fabian Ruiz, and Pedri. Like that three there, that's their best midfield. In terms of balance, you know, in terms of creativity as well, you know. So, so Shamel says, I think we should sign Tapsoba. You know what? Tapsoba wasn't someone I was originally looking at, but if I'm looking at this three at the back system that Amorim wants to play, you know, I know Lenny Yoro's there, but I think if United was to, you know, obviously Victor Lindelof's gone, Johnny Evans is gone, you know, Aiden Heaven's coming, which is great. I think United should be listening to offers for Martinez when he comes back, you know, and then you look at Harry Maguire, if they can move him on, which isn't likely. I think an Edmund Tapsoba, you know, someone that can play right side of a three, in the middle of a three as well. I think he's someone that should be looked at, you know. You know, I think he's an athlete as well, and very composed on the ball. So yeah, I'm surprised many teams haven't been looking at him really, you know. But yeah, I think he's someone that, as I said, if Leverkusen are letting go with a lot of their players, he needs to be someone that's looked at as well, definitely. Guys, come on, 20 of you in there. Let's smash that like button. Got 11 likes, you know. Subscribe to my channel and smash that like button, guys. Big up yourselves. Let's see. So just going through some of the comments. So AJ says Shaw out. Yeah, listen, Shaw should have been out 5 seasons ago. Let's be honest. How he survived so far is it's laughable how he survived. But again, we all know why he survived. You know, this fan base just make excuses for him. And to think that Luke Shaw's on what, 190 a week, you know, for someone that's hardly played for the club really over the last 10 years, is disgraceful, really. You know, but do I see Luke Shaw leaving this summer? He needs to, but I mean, I think we can't put our hand on saying our hand on it saying Shaw's gonna go, even though he should. But yeah, we'd have to wait and see. But guys, just going back to some of the signings. So obviously Juan Garcia from Espanyol, obviously has been linked to Man United, looking like he's going to Barcelona, and there's rumours that Barcelona want to sign him and then loan him out again, because obviously the likes of ter Stegen, obviously I think Chesney has signed a new contract as well, and I think the thing is as well, they're looking at Juan Garcia as the eventual replacement for ter Stegen, you know, and this Garcia, I would have to say I like him. I think he looks good. You know, as his Edris said, he'll take Garcia. I think Barcelona are the front runners for him. And again, when Barcelona or Real Madrid come in for a player in that league, I think it's pretty much impossible that other teams are gonna come in and steal a player from that league. And obviously, Barcelona and Espanyol are rivals as well in the same city. So it's ideal he goes to Barcelona, really. And if they're going to sign him and loan him back, it's ideal. So I think it's safe to say that the Juan Garcia is going to go to Barcelona, you know. And again, Barcelona doing their homework for the future as well, because he's someone that's eventually going to take over from ter Stegen, you know. And that's a great deal for them. Let's be honest. So yeah, so let's go through some of the comments again. So Saeed says, I think Lewis Skelly is the best left back in the Prem. You know what? I think it's a bit too early to say that. If we're going on current form, or how he's done throughout the season, I would say that he's had a very good season. Again, this is a guy that's a midfielder, central midfielder playing at fullback. I would say this season he's definitely been one of the best left backs in the Premier League this season. I wouldn't say he's been the best. He's the best left back right now. I think you still got to look at the likes of Kirkez, who's been doing it for a couple of seasons now. Obviously Gvardiol's a centre back, but does play at left back as well. And again, if there's any other left backs, guys, let me know. I can't think off the top of my head. Destiny Udoji as well. And I know he hasn't had a great season, but he has to be regarded up there as well. Do I think Lewis Skelly can become the best left back in the Premier League? I think he's got all the tools for it, to be honest with you. And again, to become the best left back or the best player in your position, it's all about consistency, and doing it week in, week out, season in, season out, really. And in the Champions League as well. So, but definitely he's had a great season. But I wouldn't say he's the best left back in the Prem right now. I think he needs to be doing it for the next 2 or 3 seasons to have that tag, But yeah, he's a very good player, man. And again, he's a midfielder playing at left back, Zero Requiem says, just saw Milos Kerkez agreed personal terms with Liverpool. Yeah, I think the personal terms were never going to be a problem. So for me, that's not really groundbreaking news, because for a Bournemouth player going to Liverpool, you know what I mean? Bournemouth are not playing Liverpool wages. So there's going to be no question that the personal terms won't be a problem. So that's easy. I think it's more the fee. How much do I think Bournemouth will sell Kerkez for? I think the starting price might be 50 million. Whether they can do it over installments, I'm not too sure. But I think 50 million is probably the minimum that they would accept for Kerkez. I can't see it being any less than 50. But yeah, the personal terms are easy to agree, really, because as I said, Bournemouth are not paying what Liverpool are willing to pay. So that's simple for me. Shamel says I'd also take Inigo Martinez. Martinez for me is a good ball playing defender. I wouldn't have him at Man United though. I think Man United have got Aiden Heaven, left side centre back, and obviously if they're playing a free, left side centre back as well, as part of the free. And I think if there's one left-footed defender that United should sign, that is Castello Lacaba from Red Bull Leipzig. I think he's the only one I would look at in terms of his profile, And again, this is a guy that I believe there's a record which is only bettered by Virgil van Dijk. I think it's I can't remember what record it was, but I see it earlier in the season, and I think Virgil van Dijk was second to him, should I say? So if anyone knows the person that the stats that I'm talking about, I think Lacaba topped Van Dijk for, I don't know if it was ball recoveries or something like that. But yeah, he's someone that I'll definitely sign for United. But because Aiden Heaven's here now, that signing might not be as a necessity, But getting rid of Lisandro Martinez and getting a Lacaba in, and having Lacaba and Heaven battle it out, that would be great business for me. But again, he's someone that might cost a bit of money as well. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see. So Zero Rekim says I wouldn't put Lewis Skelly in the top 5 left backs this season. Zero Rekim, let us know who your top 5 left backs in the league are this season. Because to be fair, I can't really think at the moment. But let us know. Yeah, you got Anthony Robinson as well. Someone's mentioned. Yeah, let us know, Zero Rekim, what are the top 5 left backs. Zedro says, exactly, Gav, they're rivals and Garcia's going for cheap. Yeah, exactly. Listen, the fact that Barca are in for him and they want to loan him, I think it's more. I think it's more or less we can say that it's a done deal now, that one, because again, that won't take much convincing on the player side. You know, as I said, they're two teams that are in the same city as well. So yeah, that'll be an easy deal to do for Barcelona to trying to get Juan Garcia. And again, they could even loan him back to Espanyol for another season, or they could loan him to another club until they're ready to have him in to take over from Ter Stegen. So that's good business for them. So Said says he's the best currently. I'll take him above Gavardio and Robertson. Yeah, Robertson for me isn't the same Robertson that he was. Gavardio obviously is a centre back come left back as well. And for me, Gavardio is one of the best defenders in the league. You know, as an actual football player, Gavardio was a top player, man. You know, very composed on the ball. You know, is an attack, is a goal threat as well. You know, so yeah, I wouldn't say Lewis Skelly's better than Gavardio, no way. But in terms of his form for the season, I'd definitely have him up there. You know, yeah, Livramento for me is more of a right back. You know, he's a right back that can play left back. So I wouldn't have him in. I wouldn't have him as a. You know, I like left-footed left backs. You know, and right-footed right backs. So I'd more have Cucurella in there and Livramento as a right back. Again, Cucurella for me has had a great season, and he should be talked about as being one of the best left backs this season as well. Ryan Nuri. So yeah, Rekiem said Kirkes, Robinson, Nuri, Lewis Hall. Yeah, so for me again, Nuri, Robinson, Kirkes, Lewis Hall obviously has been injured. But yeah, I would say all four of them have a right to be talked above Lewis Skelly, you know, and that's not saying that Lewis Skelly, you know, hasn't had a good season or isn't good. But I think those four, you know, we can't just say that Lewis Skelly has had a better season than any of them four, you know, because all four of them have been consistent, you know. But obviously Lewis Skelly has a job to do to become one of the best left backs in the league, you know, and that's doing it season in, season out, because the likes of Nuri, Anthony Robinson, Kirkes have all had more than one season in the Premier League. I think Lewis Hall, he's probably been his first season as a regular starter, you know. So yeah, he's got it all to do for me, Lewis Skelly. So Zerekim says £45 million for Kirkes reported. Do you know what? I'm shocked at that. I think personally, I think it's going to be slightly more. I think it'll be slightly more. I think the total package might be just above 50 million for me, you know, and I think it might be installments based as well, you know. But I don't see Liverpool, I'm not Liverpool, Bournemouth saying 45 million, because again, top left backs are a rarity in football as well. So, you know, I think any team, because now you're looking at Bournemouth having to replace Kirkes, so they're gonna want to get top money for him. So I think 45 million for me in this era of football now is low, if I'm honest with you. So I think 50 million and then including add-ons, I think might be a bit more realistic, you know. But we'll have to wait and see on that one. But if Liverpool got him for 45 million, they're laughing, you know. Zedra says another thing, Gav. In our youth setup, I really like this goalkeeper we have, Eli Harrison. Only issue, he's not the biggest, but he's an insane player. Yeah, I've heard of Eli Harrison. I think he's a midfielder, if I'm right. I've not watched too much of him, but again, you know, when it comes to youth players in the academy, you know, in the 23s and that, I think unless you're elite, you shouldn't be coming through the first team. Man United only need to be having elite players in youth football coming into their first team, because I think United have gone away from having real talents from their youth coming in, you know, because I look at the likes of back in the day, Ravel Morrison, you know, Paul Pogba. Obviously, you got the class of 90, was it 90, 96 or 98 or something? The likes of Beckham, Giggs, Scholes, Neville's and that coming through. But then obviously from then, you know, you've got the likes of, as I said, Ravel Morrison, Paul Pogba, Mason Greenwood, Angel Gomez, you know, Giuseppe Rossi. If anyone remembers Giuseppe Rossi, he was bought from Parma. Obviously, more recently, the likes of Rashford and Lingard. And obviously now we're looking at the likes of Kobe Minu and a Garnacho coming through. You know, so I think United need to be having real elite youth players coming through, you know, and I think the club has not had the same standards, you know. I look at Kobe Minu. Kobe Minu is a top talent. Should he be a regular for United at the age he is now? Not really, if United are being serious. Is he someone that needs to be kept for the future? 100%. You know, but the likes of a Garnacho coming through. Remember they had Brandon Williams coming through as well, you know. These guys ain't the level, you know. So I want to see United get back to bringing through the youth players, but are real talents. So if this Eli Harrison is one, then again, like, he could be someone to be watched out for. But I think United should only be bringing through real talents for me, you know. I agree, Zurikim. United do need to plug other holes. Yeah, defenders are not priorities, I would say, but you know, I think if we're looking at obviously other defenders moving on, you know, then obviously they're gonna need to be replaced. And as I said, Tap Soba, you know, Castello Lekeba are two players in terms of the profiles that United need would be ideal, you know. So yeah. Guys, big up everyone in the chat. You know, there's some random questions in there. Yahan Bad, Yahan Dad, I think his name is. I'm not even sure who that is, but big up yourselves, man. Guys, 13 of you in there now. Let's try and get the likes up. We've got 13 likes at the moment. Let's try and hit 15. Yeah, Lewis Hall, big up killer. Yeah, Lewis Hall, man. I think he was having a very good season, you know. And again, he was someone that could rival Lewis Skelly for the England left back spot now, you'd think as well. But obviously his injuries kind of put him a bit behind Lewis Skelly now. So yeah. Yeah, guys, anyone that's not contributing to the chat positively, mods, you know what to do. Just time them out, you know. Big up yourselves. So Kappa says Isak to Liverpool. Yeah, I don't see that happening. As I said already earlier today, you know, the only way Isak goes to Liverpool is if Liverpool put down 150, and even that might not even do it. So, okay, Harrison's a goalkeeper. Okay, yeah, I mean, as I said, I've not really seen too much of him. I thought he was a midfield player, but yeah, as I said, if he's a good keeper with the current keepers that United have now, then yeah, give him a chance. But again, I'm not really seeing too much of him, to be honest. Irfan says Victor Osimhen. So Irfan says Cunha, Embuemo, Delap. To be fair, that's a decent front three. You know, that's a very good front three for me. Do I see it happening? I'm not too sure yet because I mean, Cunha signed. Delap's obviously got a 30 million release clause, you know, but Delap was reported in saying that he wants European football, you know, Champions League. So whether that happens or not, I think the key factor in that is obviously Jason Wilcox, who had him at Man City. Embuemo is going to have suitors, so I'm not too sure, you know. But three players, would I take them at Man United? 100%, I would, you know. And guys, again, I'm surprised no one's talking about Mohamed Kudus, you know, because Kudus for me needs to leave West Ham, just like Lucas Paqueta. You know, I think the likes of Jared Bowen, who's the captain, I think Bowen, to be fair, has had a very good season, you know, and Bowen's a very good player, but I don't see him leaving West Ham. He's the captain, you know, he's the face of the club, really. I don't see him leaving, but I think Kudus and Paqueta, for me, need to be playing Champions League football for a Champions League team. So, yeah, but they're going to cost a bit of money, you know, but I'm surprised there's been no talk about those two players. And again, guys, I just remembered something. So, remember Man City wanted Paqueta before the whole match fixing scandal was being talked about. So whether obviously if that, I think that's, I'm not sure what's happening with that now. I think has that been cleared now? I think with Paqueta, but Man City might even revisit that. And if Man City get Paqueta to replace De Bruyne, You know, that might soften the blow of them not getting Florian Wirtz. So yeah, they could revisit that. And the funny thing as well, they'll probably get Paqueta for less money now, because there was 90 million bids being quoted from for Paqueta from West Ham, and I think West Ham, you know, I'm not sure if they're looking to accept that, but if we're looking at it now, 50 million might be for Paqueta, you know. So yeah, that would be great business for Man City if they do that. Whether they're still in for him, I don't know. So Zero Reckon says Oblak, if he chooses Man United, will be huge. Listen, I wanted Oblak for years. Oblak's not coming to United, surely not. I mean, Atletico will be Champions League and will be in the Champions League again. Why would Oblak give up Champions League football? You know, he's captain for Atletico Madrid as well now. You know, why would he give that up coming to the Premier League for a team that's not in Europe and struggling at the moment? You know, but yeah, he'd be a great signing as a keeper. He's one of the best keepers over the last 10, 15 years, you would say? Definitely. So NM Coxie says, well, you got my boy Cunha. I hope you're happy, because I ain't. Hope you're well, brother. Yeah, big up NM Coxie, man. As I said, bro, I wanted... Eze was my first choice in terms of that left 10. But to get Cunha in, I mean, that's a great signing, man. And I'm just surprised not many other teams were in for him. You know, whether he told his agent to only field interest from United, I don't know. But as I said, it's a very good signing. I'm telling you, bro, you will thoroughly enjoy Cunha. He lost his head a little bit for us, but it's to be expected. If he didn't get a GA, we didn't win. The guy is simply magical. Make something out of. Yeah, listen, I'm a massive fan of Cunha. I am. I think he was primed to go to a bigger club. You know, I'm just surprised he chose Man United because, as I said, I think someone like him, and again, this is a player that's come from Atletico Madrid previously before he went to Wolves. You know, so he'd be used to be playing in Europe, and the fact that he chose Man United, again, is a good sign. But Man United just now need to provide a platform, so you're not wasting a talent like that, you know, because I look at his personality as well, and his personality is someone that you want to have in the team. So again, yeah, I'm very happy that he's signed. Again, I wanted Eze as well, you know, Eze or Cunha, but yeah, we can't be disappointed with Cunha. And again, will Cunha get number 10 now? Will he take number 10 off of Marcus Rashford if he goes? You know, because I want to see Cunha have 10. Ahmad have 7, and then I'll be more excited for this team in terms of, you know, going forwards, in terms of setting the standards, you know. But big up, bro. Big up for coming on. Yeah, listen, I agree, Zedra. They are going to demand money. But I heard, obviously, I've got a friend who's a West Ham fan, and he reckons that Paqueta is going to go for about 45, 50 million. And when he told me that, I was shocked. But, you know, I think the fact that Paqueta hasn't had the season that that he had previously, you know, it could be right. Kudus again is going to be a lot of money, you know, and I think 90 million. I think it'd be slightly less than that, you know. But again, could you do an installment thing with Kudus? But for me, Kudus needs to be playing in Champions League or European football for sure, you know. And again, another player that has been pretty quiet, but again, I think there's going to be some huge moves that's going to be happening, you know, and we'll have to wait and see. But 90 million, I'm not too sure. I think he might be slightly less than that. Killer says, imagine Tonali goes to City. Yeah, that'd be a great signing, but that won't happen. Newcastle should go for Eze. I agree. Yeah, I agree. He's someone that they should be targeting, you know. I think we spoke about it the other day, actually. But whether that happens, I'm not too sure. So from their sources around Wolves, bro, his only intentions was to join you. He had offers from everywhere, but wanted in on your project. Again, just the sources around the club. Yeah, listen, yeah, I heard the same thing, you know, and again, I'm surprised, you know, but again, I think as a Man United fan, we have to be happy with that because to get a player of that quality, you know, wanting to join the club, regardless of what the state of the club is, you know, you have to be you have to be happy with that, you know. And as I said, I do believe he's going to be a very good signing for the club. But I'm more interested in, you know, what this club does with players that are already at the club, you know, getting rid of them, the manager, and the signings being brought in. So, you know, but getting Cunha in is a good sign to start with, you know. So Zedra says, question for you, Gav. Would you take Grealish or Paqueta? Ooh. Who would I take, Grealish or Paqueta at Man United? I think if we're looking at the current system right now, I think you would say Grealish, because Grealish can play as a left 10. I think Paqueta is more adept to playing central as a number 10. You know, so obviously in this three at the back, he'd have to play as a right 10, which I don't think gets the best from him. So I would say Grealish, because Grealish can play as a left 10. But if we're changing the formation to play a 4-2-3-1, then I would say Paqueta. You know, but for me, yeah, I think two players for me that are two very good players, and I think both players will be moved on for different reasons. You know, next season, this season coming up. Big up to LUFC, says Leeds taking over next season. Listen, I think for your sake, you hope so. You know, I think people will be putting money down for the three promoted teams to go straight back down. You know, but obviously the rivalry with Leeds and Man United next season. Again, it's good to see Leeds back in the Premier League. You know, just like with Sunderland. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see on that one. You know. Guys, let's go through some more of your comments before we wrap. So NM Coxey says, do you believe in Amarim? Bro, if I'm honest with you, I don't. For me, if you've been watching some of my other streams I've done, is one I've done recently. The fact that Man United have looking like they're keeping this manager is a disgrace, you know, for the season he's had. You know, but again, I'm not gonna dwell on this, because at the end of the day, we're gonna see what happens now, because they've done the same thing with Ten Hag, and then Ten Hag got sacked, you know, early in the season after giving him another season because he won the FA Cup. This manager has lost the Europa, finished what I think they ended up finishing 14th. I think it might have been, you know, shocking season. And obviously, it's looking like they're gonna persevere with him, which for me is the wrong decision. But again, as I said, I'm not gonna dwell on it, because I'm not gonna dwell on it, because it is what it is. You know, we have to just wait and see. As long as I said, the likes of, if Garnacho goes, Rasmus Højlund goes, Bruno Fernandes goes, Mason Mount goes out on loan. You know, those four in particular, if they get moved on, then the Amarim, if he does stay, will be cushioned a bit more, because Man United will be forced to get players in that are just better players. You know, so but yeah, we'll have to wait and see. But there's massive decisions to be made for this club. You know, but we'll wait and see, man. But yeah, to answer your question, I don't trust Amarim, to be honest with you, not from what I've seen this season. But again, we'll have to see what happens in the summer, you know. So yeah, so Coty says, yeah, I was swimming when we lost to you guys. You guys have been struggling for a while. Hope you get some talents from the Championship. Yeah, listen, if I'm honest with you, if I look in the Championship, there's probably only one player that I would like to see at the club, you know, from the Championship. And obviously, he'll be playing in the Premiership now, and that's Chris Rigg. I think Chris Rigg, to be honest with you, I think the way that he he's press resistant on the ball, you know, he's very composed on the ball. I think players like that, and he's left-footed as well. I think he's the only one really that I would like to see at Man United, if I'm honest. But obviously, he's no longer in the Championship, because obviously Sunderland got promoted. So, but other than that, yeah, I don't really look at any other Championship players that I would say should be playing in the Premiership or definitely at Man United. So I think Chris Rigg was the outstanding one for me, you know. Saeed says, I think Anthony can be sold for big money. Yeah, I agree. Even though I'd like to see Anthony have another chance at Man United, you know, because I think he's been written off way too early at the expense of other players, you know. And the season he's had for Betis, obviously he's in a Conference League final as well. I think definitely he deserves to have another chance. But, oh, guys, just seen some news. Joe Bellingham is in talks with Eintracht Frankfurt, and Dortmund and Leipzig also want him as well. So that's mad. I didn't see that one coming. So he looks like he's definitely going to Germany, following in the footsteps of his brother. So you have to wait and see for that one. So Eden Cocky says, what do you make of his speech yesterday? So to be honest with you, I didn't listen to his speech because I'm tired of listening to Amorim, to be honest with you. But from what I've been told, you know, it was a lot of emotive language, you know, and a lot of it was pulling on the heartstrings of these fans. And if I'm honest with you, I think I mentioned this yesterday, you know, these fans only have themselves to blame, let's be honest, because the season that Man United have had, you know, if they wanted to make a real statement in terms of, you know, getting Glazers out and showing some standards, you know, they should have been booing each and every player off that pitch yesterday. Not clapping, booing it, because, again, this has been the worst it's been since I've seen. But the fact that these fans are clapping these players, you know, they're not booing, and they're hanging on Amorim's every last word, it's why the Glazers continue to take the piss out of the club. Let's be honest, because fans shouldn't have not turned up. You know, they should have been booing, as I said. And that would have made a real statement. But the fact that they were clapping these fans off the pitch, you know what I mean? Glazers must be laughing, not taking it seriously. So that's what I would say on that. So Sai says Amorim should be given money too. Again, we've been over this before. You know, he hasn't earned the right to get his players from the season that they've had. But again, it's looking like Ineos are going to back him. And as I said, I'm not gonna waste my time, you know, getting pissed off about it. It is what it is, and we have to just wait and see what players are brought in and what players are let go. So that's the main thing, really. Guys, listen up. I'm gonna wrap anyway. So we've been going for just over an hour. Hour and 17 minutes to say. But yeah, listen, transfers, guys, as I said, looking like it's going to be kicking off now. So I'll be keeping a definite close eye on this, you know, and as I said, season's come to an end now. Obviously, you've only got the Champions League final coming up, Europa Conference League as well, between Chelsea and Betis. I think that's this week, actually, funny enough. So yeah, obviously season's come to a close, you know, dreadful season for Man United. But I think, as I said, transfers now, they're going to start to kick off, guys. And as you said, from what I've been through today, you know, I think there's certain teams, likes of Man City, likes of Liverpool, you know, they're looking to get some business done. I just hope Man United, obviously getting Cunha over the line, there's going to be some signings following in shortly. And again, getting rid of players as well, which is going to be crucial as well. So, yeah, guys, listen up. Big up everyone for coming on each and every time. You know, 15 likes on there, decent. You know, big up everyone for contributing to the channel. You know, big up all the mods as well for coming on and contributing. So, yeah, I'm going to be back, guys, tomorrow. You know, obviously do my next Gen 50. I will be scheduling it as well. And again, if any news breaks, any transfers, we'll be discussing that as well. And big up to Xedra, big up, bro, for coming on. As I said, next Gen 50 tomorrow, so probably be doing that at 12:30, you know. Obviously, there's a certain player that I'm going to discuss, which, you know, I've actually played against as well, you know, albeit five-a-side football. So, yeah, I'll be talking about him tomorrow. So, yeah, big up everyone for coming on. Again, if it's your first time in there and you enjoy the content, make sure you smash that like button and subscribe to my channel. And, guys, keep an eye on my schedule. I'll be back tomorrow. And as I said, again, big up yourselves for coming on. And I'll catch you guys in a bit. Take it easy.